address books and sign-up sheets from events, photographs of demonstrations, and correspondence with fellow activists or anyone living in Colombia or Palestine. Apparently, these are possible evidence of a crime. We are activists with deep roots in our communities. We play important roles in leading not only the anti-war movement and international solidarity work, but also in our unions, in our college campuses, in immigrants' rights organizations, and in the Palestinian community. This case represents a serious attack on people's movements, not just us and our organizations. And that's why 256 people's organizations, just like UE, have responded with statements and actions supporting us. Not only is this an attack on the anti-war movement broadly, it is most definitely an attack on the Palestine Solidarity Movement and Palestinians and Arab Americans living here. The laws in this case have been wielded against Arabs and Muslims for decades, and especially against Palestinians. The government is trying to raise the specter of an enemy within to justify and clear the way for its wars abroad. And now the goal is to criminalize anti-war activists and international solidarity activism in defense of a foreign policy that has caused the deaths of tens of thousands of American troops and hundreds of thousands from Iraq to Afghanistan and elsewhere. What are they talking about? Well, first, perhaps it goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway. None of us sent any guns or any money to the groups on the government's list of what they call foreign terrorist organizations. I don't agree with this list anyway, but as our supporters, you should understand that none of us have given anything that we might think of as material support to any of the groups on that list. What have we done? We've helped to lead the anti-war movement and to build within that a section of the movement that focuses on international solidarity and that chooses to befriend the people hardest hit by U.S. wars and militarism. The stories of these people, trade unionists, families, mothers of young children like myself, students, these stories never make it into the Star Tribune or the Chicago newspapers or the New York papers. It's not something that people can learn about in the mainstream media. And so when we travel to Palestine or Colombia or anywhere else, we make it a priority to bring back the stories and pictures of people just like us who are under attack. The fact is that the knowledge of what's really happening in the name of, that our government is carrying around the world makes anyone a person of conscience. When you see someone just like you whose home has been demolished, whose family members have been assassinated and imprisoned, and you understand that your government has a role in making that happen, you become an anti-war activist. And that is, it makes our movement stronger, and that's exactly what the warmongers don't want. And whether they like it or not, I would have to say that I believe very strongly in our commitment to international solidarity, that it is both moral and righteous. There's other work that we've done in terms of solidarity. What kind of activities are we talking about? To be clear, we're talking about political support and humanitarian aid. Some of us have called for freedom for political prisoners. Some of us have published the views of people resisting imperialism in other countries. Some of us have sent token contributions to people's movements, organizations, unions, doing legal humanitarian work on the ground. Ours is like the work that has been done for decades in this country, those that were part of the anti-apartheid struggle in South Africa, those that did Central America solidarity work, Irish Republican supporters, there's a long tradition in this country of befriending the peoples of the world, not seeing them as enemies. And so the activities that we've done, or that some of us have done, are all just like that. They're the kind of work that people have been doing for years. But the prosecutors don't see it that way. First, we have heard that they are very upset that there was some fundraising done for an organization called the Union of Palestinian Women's Committees. This is a wonderful organization. It is a registered NGO with the Palestinian Authority. It is not banned by Israel, and it is not on the US government's terrorist list. Quite the opposite. They run daycares. They provide support to women refugees, and they work towards women's equality for Palestinian women. There is no reason that we should not support them politically and financially if we can. The work that we have done the work that we defend and will continue doing, should all be protected, not only under international law, but even under the Constitution of this country. The prosecutors are also very upset that some of us openly disagree with the terrorist designation that they've assigned many groups, many organizations around the world that fight for liberation. The search warrants focused in particular on the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine and the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia. When the U.S. allied with the apartheid regime in South Africa, the ANC was designated a terrorist organization. When the U.S. was backing the Salvadoran Civil War against its own people, the FMLN was a terrorist organization. Time and again, the government has taken the stance that freedom fighters are terrorists. And some of us can't accept that. We don't agree. We recognize these organizations as legitimately working to free their own people. Now again, I don't believe that any of us have sent them any arms or any cash, but politically, some of us do support the organizations that the government is investigating us for relating to. But if they pursue this prosecution, it is our very thoughts and our speech that are criminalized in this case, not material support. In a manner reminiscent of the McCarthy era, the prosecutors are also targeting Freedom Road Socialist Organization, which was named in the search warrants and in some conversations with our attorneys. Some, though certainly not all, not even close, of the individuals targeted are a member of Freedom Road. As someone who is, I want to tell you a little bit about us and our place in this. First, if you are from one of the cities where we're active, I hope that you've met us. If you haven't, it's nice to meet you. And we should do a little more work because we're not a clandestine group. We're a public group. We have public meetings to talk about our views on the world and how we think it should be changed. You can find our views on the International World Wide Web, and not at some super secret.org, but at frso.org. Perhaps that history of the new communist movement and that our roots coming from the 70s and certainly before, the traditions long before that, makes us very aware that the government is not okay with our politics. They hope to make the case, though, that somehow Freedom Road is separate and apart from the movements. That because of our views on problems in this country, we're somehow not fit to be part of the anti-war movement. As a fact, we are very committed to building the anti-war movement, and I'm proud of our contributions in that arena. So we certainly expect to hear more garbage coming out of the mouths of U.S. Attorney Patrick Fitzgerald and the others in his office. But I want people to understand it's not like a maybe. I assume you're here because you understand. They want to indict people. It's very clear to us that we don't have any idea how many, but they've said we're pursuing multiple indictments in this case. We don't know if indictments will begin with imposing immunity on some who've received subpoenas, throwing us in jail if we refuse to testify, or whether they'll go straight for the jugular and start charging people, indicting people on these federal terrorism crimes. Once the indictments come in, Fitzgerald's office is likely to end their public silence. They've been very frustrated at how good we've been about getting our message out in the public, and they complain about it too. And they're not supposed to talk about us because grand juries are secret, among other things. There are many other things, but they're also secret. And so they haven't really been able to answer yet. But no doubt, once they break their public silence, Fitzgerald and company will try to convict us in the court of public opinion. He'll call us communists, terrorists, and criminals. What we are is people of conscience. We're mothers and fathers. We're students and trade unionists. We're you. And I know that's why you're here, and I want to tell you how much it means to us. We are up against something that's very frightening for us personally and for our families and those who and our loved ones, but it's all the more dangerous because of the attack it represents on all of us. So thank you for being here.